let's talk about Broken Sword Reforged.
Yes.
So Broken Sword Reforged is the remastered and slightly updated version of...
Very updated.
Well, I mean, slightly updated in they've changed a few things rather than just giving it a fresh lick of graphics.
Yeah.
Or a fresh lick of paint. So tell me about Broken Sword, because you play... Or did you talk about it last year as well?
I might have done. So I had a session at last year's Gamescom about Broken Sword, which was about this remastered version. It was also to chat about the new one. There's a Broken Sword 6 on the way, which wasn't shown this year. So we don't know any more about that yet. Broken Sword is from the 90s, the first one?
1996.
There we go.
Because, yeah, I worked out I was 8 years old.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's essentially a sort of point-and-click narrative puzzle game. They were super popular on PC. I've actually not played... I've played a very small amount of Broken Sword 1 on my phone, but I didn't really get very far in it. Mainly because it is quite old school in its design, and the puzzles are very tricky. It's if you're not clicking on the right thing in the right order, you're not going to solve the puzzle. So it can be quite confusing for new players that aren't used to that style of game.
Yeah.
Which leads us into what has been changed in this new version, where there is now a story mode, which is an overhaul of the UI.
Yeah.
So it's things like it gives you subtle hints as to what you can and can't click on. What you've clicked on before will then not be clickable again.
Yeah.
So that
you can exhaust the option.
Yeah, exactly, to sort of solve the puzzles. So there are... And that is completely optional. You can choose to play it in the old school way if you prefer. It is just one way of playing it. And to be honest, that's how I would play it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
it's just a modernized version of playing the game, really.
Exactly. And you can even switch to the old graphics as well if you want. Like there are many options. If you want to play the original thing with the original graphics, but on a new console or whatever, then there's the option for that. But yeah, so we got to chat to Charles Cecil,
Yes.
who is the creator of Broken Sword, and he was able to like tell us a bit more like in detail of the reasons why he's changed some things and the reasons why he brought it back, and just why he loves the game and why other people do as well.
Yeah.
And
just to say, he is an incredibly passionate and just lovely, lovely man.
Yeah.
He is like properly kind of big smile, rosy cheeks, like greets everyone and is just so friendly.
Has time for everyone.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Like when I came in, he didn't ask me, like he didn't care like how senior whatever I was doing, for whether I was a podcaster or streamer or whatever like that, or I was working for IGN. It's like I feel like he gave full attention to whoever he's talking to. He's just such... And I was talking earlier about how when you go and talk to someone or you talk to devs, you can see like how their passion for something is way more than just making a cash grab. And he was somebody that loves, adores his game, is incredibly proud of it, and just wants as many people as possible to play it. And he's like, and I think this is the reason why this is coming out, is because he wants the new generation to play. And that's what he said as well. He's like, there's a lot of things that in these days they don't necessarily, like, it doesn't translate. And there's some really obscure stuff in like point and click games. Like he brought up Monkey Island, how at one point you need a monkey wrench. Did you tell you that as well?
No.
So you need a monkey wrench, and apparently in it you put a banana in your pocket, and when you take it out, it's a monkey wrench because it's like the banana and the monkey. And he's like, well, firstly in the UK they don't even call it a monkey wrench. So it's like there's all these obscure things, and there are like 8 different verbs that you can use or whatever in quite a lot of old school point and clicks. Whereas he wanted something that was a little bit easier but not quite as obscure.
Yeah.
And bringing this back as well, he was able to have like a story mode just to make it a little bit easier and a bit, so people don't just get stuck for hours and hours. Because I think he didn't mention this, but I feel back in the old days, back in the 90s, back at retro, though there weren't that many games that you had to play. And because a game was £40, £45, for the absolute top one, people kind of stuck with them and went through them. And they found guides. They called the Nintendo hotline and stuff. But you've played a game till you finished it, and it might take you a few weeks. But I feel like a lot of people weren't playing it didn't have like 7 games on the go or options. You know, it didn't have a
Are
Steam
you
library
saying
of
people
thousands.
had more perseverance back in the day?
Less choice. I think people had
Okay.
less choice. Now you've
Okay.
got Game Pass, you've got Ubisoft Plus, you've got PlayStation Plus. You can play 1,000 Steam sales with games at 50p. It's it's very easy to just go, you know what? I'm stuck on that. I've no idea what it is. I'm just gonna move on and play something else because this is a bit obscure.
Mm.
Whereas you want to back in my day, when you used to kind of persevere, eventually it does kind of it feels rewarding.
Yeah.
When you spend a long time on something and complete it. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
That's fair. That's fair. So there are some very obvious changes in this. Firstly, being the visuals, which are now sort of 4K, widescreen, a lot sharper. I think it will be how people thought it was back in the day, and then you see the difference, and you're like, oh, this has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that's sort of very obvious. When I chatted to him last year, we talked a little bit about AI and how AI had been used to basically upscale the graphics, but not completely, because there are certain things that an AI can't do.
Yeah.
And so the AI is used to just like sharpen it overall, and then an artist goes back in and completely retouches it to make it what it should be. And in the process of that, they're able to add in new expressions. So the animations are smoother, and then there'll be an extra expression where it looks to the camera or something. And so it feels like it's more alive than it ever was in the older versions. So there are things like that where you just look side by side. It's very obvious what has been changed visually.
Yeah.
But there are
some inconsistencies that he was very happy to update.
Yeah, I think this sort of remake affords a chance to change things that maybe weren't quite right in the original. So one of the things, and I'm sure he talked to you about this as well, it's quite a big deal, I think, in the games community, is at the very beginning, you have your American reporter, whose name I can't remember, who is the protagonist of the game. And he sat in a cafe, and this clown comes along and goes into a cafe and drops a bomb, and the bomb explodes and the cafe blows up, and that is the start of the game. That's the start of the investigation. And it's very clear that in the animated scene that shows this, the clown puts the bomb on a bar stool, and in the original, when you then enter the cafe afterwards, the bar and the stool are completely intact, and the explosion looks like it has happened in the middle of the room. But that's inconsistent with the cutscene.
Yes.
And that's something that Charles was very annoyed about. Understandably. And so now he's remaking it. It's a chance to basically redraw that and create that consistency.
So the bar's destroyed now.
Yeah. Now you go in, the bar has been blown up, and it's much more obvious where the bomb was placed. Consistent with the cutscene.
And there was another one a bit later where he goes into an alleyway and he's looking to see if the clown has climbed a drain pipe, and it's very clear that there's no top to the drain pipe. It just stops. So he's like, it's very obvious that the clown didn't go up there because the drain pipe doesn't connect to anything.
Right.
And in this one, it goes all the way up. But then obviously he tries to climb it and it breaks a bit, so it didn't go up there. And there are a few other things, like later on, did you show you the save file later where they're in I don't know if it's like a collection room?
No.
Oh, there's like a room with lots of artifacts, and there was a Sphinx type character or a Sphinx type thing.
Oh, yes,
and
I've seen this.
Before, it was like a weird low-res photo of one, and he's like, it just didn't look right, and the art style was completely different. It was like a photo. And then this time you see, it's actually a drawn Sphinx in there. And also there was some detail on a tapestry they wanted updating, and he actually brought the artist back who did the original art on this tapestry, and brought the original artist back to make it a lot more detailed and to make it a lot nicer, which he'd always wanted to do. So there were lots of things. It feels like this is like the ultimate version of it. It's not just a fresh lick of paint that's been kind of sharpened and made everything like that, but it's the game. You'll play that game and be like, oh, that's like maybe how you even imagined it if you played it as a kid.
Yeah.
But that is like the ultimate way to play it. And it's out soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I can't remember exactly. I'm sure it's this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've not played Broken Sword, so I look at this and say, right, I absolutely want to play this. I think there are a few moments of representation as well that
That's
have been
right.
updated. So there is one moment where the female character is tied up, and you
Mhm.
can choose as the protagonist to kiss her while she's tied up, and she then replies something like, "Oh, you've taken advantage of me,"
Mhm.
and that's something that's now been changed, that you can't do that, because that is very 90s and is
Mhm.
not something that we want to promote in this
Yeah.
day and age. So things like that have been removed.
And there was one bit about, I think there was a Syrian in there who
Yeah.
is like a carpet seller, and they did a like a focus group and spoke to like the Syrian people and the Syrian people as a whole. No,
Yeah.
I had some people from Syria who they asked, and they said, "Oh no, we appreciate that there's a Syrian in there. That is fine. It's great to have that representation." But he said that he still wasn't comfortable of having them as a carpet seller.
Yeah.
So change that in this one. And yeah, this game is very much a Charles Cecil's like what he wants it to be,
Yeah.
which is
It is Broken Sword for 2024.
yeah,
Very much that.
and it's had a lot of love put into it, into the remake,
Yeah.
the Reforged. But yeah, it's out September the 19th.
Oh,
so
very soon.
in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Nice.
3 weeks, sorry.
Should we show everyone the book?
Go on then.
Where is it?
Oh, it's in there. Shall I pause?
Let's pause.
Right, we're back, and yeah, for those listening on the audio version, Ed has a book that says "The Art of Broken Sword."
Yeah. So this is Charles basically. Well, he gave one. You had your brother. Who's a
Yeah.
big
So
fan.
what I did, so when I went and spoke to him, I had a really lovely chat, and I'd mentioned just before. So I've got a brother who turns 50 this year. Apologies if I probably will, because I'll send this video. So. And he has like grown up with video games. He is somebody that used to come around to my house and beat bosses in Tekken for me, unlocking characters, which I recently played a bit of Tekken on the PlayStation Classics, and yeah, it's still really, really difficult. I still don't know how he did it, but yeah, we went here. So I went and mentioned to him that I was going to see Charles Cecil, and left it at that. Then went and had the great chat, nice 30 minutes, wonderful conversation with him, and came out and had a message from a brother being like, "Holy shit, what that like." He is incredible. He is an absolutely amazing man. I love Broken Sword. I played every single game. I've pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition of the new one. Really, really excited. And then I was like, "Oh damn, I should have got a photo." And said, "Oh, get a photo." And yeah, I was like, oh, "Damn." But you had your meeting the following day, and I was like, "Okay, when you finish, that's the time that I'm actually free at that time. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to greet, and you can introduce, and we
By all
can
means, come
and I
join.
can go and let him know and get a photo." So I went in there and then told Charles how like much of a fan my brother was, and he was like, "Oh, lovely, lovely." And then like we took a photo, and he's like, "I've got something for him after this photo." I'm like, okay. And yeah, after the photo, he pulled out the Art of Broken Sword, wrote a lovely message in there, and was like, "Yeah, give that to your brother next time you see it." And just a lovely, lovely man.
And then he gave us one as well.
He did as well.
I'm just looking through it. It's really, really lovely. Like you've got here some art from, the original version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the sketches, and you can see how they created it into the sort of pixel, I guess, versions.
Yeah.
But then you go ahead.
I was about to say, is it updated with the
Yeah,
remaster?
and then you go ahead, and it shows you the art for the new version, and you can see just like how much more detailed it is, how
Yeah.
sharp it is. All the new character designs are in there. It's a really, really lovely book. So that's going to look lovely on the old Kallax.
Also, as well, I just forgot to say.
Oh, it's got Broken Sword 2 in there.
Ooh, I need to go and play all of them.
It's got all. Oh, it's got literally all of them. It's
Including
all
5.
the books, right up to 5.
Oh, and all of 6 now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I really
yeah,
need to go and
it's
play.
a really lovely book. So go get it if you want one.
And what was I going to say? Yeah, when I was speaking to him, he was also, I forgot to mention that he brought up that there were some dialogue lines that were either bugged or had issues with when in the original, so they were never actually like said. And he was able to kind of fix all of those. So there are new voice lines in
nice.
Reforged that weren't in the original, but that were intended to be in the original. So genuinely, if you like, I mean, we haven't really spoken about the actual game itself. It is a point-and-click adventure game.
I mean, for me, I haven't played it, but
And
this is why this is perfect
I played
for me.
I played as much as I could in my youth, with a very limited brain and limited internet, so to help me. So I don't know. I love, that's my kind of game. I remember going up and down a street at one point and being like, I'm totally lost. I've no idea what I'm meant to be doing now. So the new story mode might help. But like I said, you can play the original classic, even with old graphics if you want to. And actually, you might want to do that because you can then see very easily the differences. You can just click
switch between click of a button.
And he showed me the one where in the cafe you can see the bomb in the middle, and then you press the button to change it to the new graphics, and it's destroyed the bar.
Yep.
And obviously with the drain pipe. So yeah, and the one with all the with like the rug and the tapestry and the Sphinx. So just go and enjoy that game when it comes out, because it's a real kind of project of love from Charles, and it'll make you really hyped to play even more of them, because who doesn't love a point and click adventure?
There you go.
There's still a time for them. All right,